about 67,000 calls for service, and at the end of 2009 it was about 84,900. We saw a significant increase in property crimes, thefts, mostly in the area, the more popular area of our county around Deerfield Township. We maintain the sex offender list and monitor those sex offenders. And at the end of 2008, we had about 397 registered sex offenders. In 2009, it was 521, with an increase of about 124. And then last I checked, we're at 541 this year already. So ultimately, we caught a break, and there were 3 different groups of people doing these break-ins throughout the county. And we ended up arresting those 3 different groups, 2 of which were residents in other counties, and 1 was a resident in our county. We saw a significant drop in those cases. We cleared up 45 house burglaries in our county and several in the adjoining counties as well. We also saw, you may have seen in the news, that we had some problems with the Craigslist prostitutes in and around Deerfield Township hotels. And over the course of that year, we actually had 2 separate sting operations, one in Deerfield Township and one in conjunction with Franklin Police Department around the truck stop. And in those 2 different operations, we made 20 different arrests of prostitutes. And we actually were housing up 85 inmates at a time in Butler County. Fortunately, they had the space, but Warren County was budgeting $1.2 million for that jail space each year in 2009 and again this year. So we went to the state through a letter of request, and it looks like we're going to get an approval to increase the bed space inside our jail without building. That hopefully by year's end we'll be able to save the Warren County taxpayers that $1.2 million each year. They also have representatives from the FBI, DEA, National Guard, ATF. They made 130 felony arrests in 2009. They seized about $4.1 million in street value of illicit drugs, whether it's cocaine, marijuana, heroin. They also seized, that number is prescription drugs, which most of you probably are hearing now is the number 1 abused drugs by our youth today. So they've tried to step up their efforts in enforcement with regard to that type of abuse, including doctors, pharmacists. We also are involved in the Joint Terrorism Task Force as an agency. Homeland security is a big issue, more so nowadays and over the last several years than it's ever been. And we have 2 individuals that on a monthly basis attend those meetings in Hamilton County so that we can at least share that information that's coming out on the federal level and in our southwest region of Ohio. Winding down here, I wanted to mention just a couple things that's happened as a result of our Drug Task Force successes. In 2006, Warren County Sheriff's Office got its first canine in a number of years, a black lab named Kilo. And this didn't cost any taxpayer dollars in Warren County. Drug forfeiture monies for the task force paid for that, and also paid for the vehicle that Deputy Brian Willis uses. In that 3 years, from 2006 to 2009, Kilo was responsible for recovering about 864 pounds of marijuana, another 8 pounds of cocaine, and even more importantly, about $500+ thousand in additional drug forfeiture money that they can put right back into investigating drugs. That success actually has led to them purchasing 2 additional canine units for Warren County in late fall. One is a Belgian Malinois that's trained to do nothing but sniff out prescription drugs and currency. That dog's assigned to the task force, and is used primarily on search warrants. Its name is Cash. So then the second dog, again, no taxpayer dollars here. This is all drug forfeiture money. The second dog is a black German Shepherd. It's a dual-purpose dog named Tango. Many of you are old enough to remember Tango Cash. Just a little humor in Warren County. But dual-purpose dog, which means it's trained to sniff out illicit drugs, marijuana, cocaine, that kind of thing, but also track people. And there are no statistics as of yet because the dogs are just getting started. The last couple of years have been doing a lot of training countywide for our actual law enforcement officers in the county. And it's low cost or no cost to all the street level cops in our county. And it's been a remarkable success. In fact, just a few weeks ago, we had a traffic stops and approach training, about as real life as it can get. And fortunately, we're very pleased to say that Monroe sent a couple of their officers over to not to train, but as trainers. And so we've got all of them that work side by side when they're working with each other and learning from one another. So we appreciate that. We appreciate the opportunity to work with Monroe Police Department. The last thing I will say is I know Butler County has an honor guard and pipe and drum corps, and Warren County started a pipe corps last year. We had one bagpiper, and then we had an honor guard, and he's been fairly busy. But last year we had some additional employees step up and become part of that team. So we now have 2 bagpipers, a bass drummer, 2 snare drummers with the honor guard, and we've been utilizing them for public relations events, parades and holidays and things like that. If there's some way that we could, accommodate a request that you might have, it's all on a scheduling basis, but we would certainly entertain that if that's ever something that you might want to borrow or use sometime in the future. So that's kind of it. I know it took a lot of time, but I'll answer any questions anybody